All right guys, today I'm gonna be breaking down my level 1 deck. This is a purely fun deck. It's definitely not competitive or anything like that. It's just a budget fun deck. Basically, I fell in love with the card Mystic Piper. If you guys are familiar, you give up your normal summon, so summon, tribute, draw one. If it's a level 1, you draw another one. I love that card so much, and I was like, man, I wonder if I just made a deck out of entirely level 1 monsters. Like, what would that be like? So let's break down the main deck first. You get your 3 Mystic Pipers, and then the perfect combo to that is Kinka-byo, Spirit Monster, Summon, and then it lets you target any level 1 monster in the graveyard, bring it out for, comes out. It can only be out for the turn, so at the end of the turn, if you didn't do anything with it, it gets banished, but the target is pretty much always Mystic Piper, and so you're going to use the effect, and so you can kind of just keep doing it. So at the end of the turn, Kinka-byo goes back to your hand and repeat. So summon, pull them out of the graveyard, use his effect, get your 2 cards, comes back to your hand. There's a lot of other targets for Kinka-byo in here that we're going to cover, but obviously the Mystic Piper engine right here, this engine is awesome. All right, next up, Evil Thorn. Just such a fantastic card. Discovered this a while ago while building this deck. For those that don't know, summon, then you contribute, inflict 300 damage, which is really cool, and then bring out 2 other Evil Thorns from your deck. Coming up next, Jester Confit, however you say it. Really great card. It's just great for this. It's just a level 1, no questions asked, you summon him. So special summon. The only downside to him though, the reason I have him at 2 is you can't have 2 of them on the field at the same time. Great card. I know I got the comments here, not looking too pretty, but really, really, really great card. Next up, Turbo Booster. Fantastic card. If a normal summon has already happened this turn, you can special summon him. This is great. I do have it at 1 more than Jester. This is a little bit better because Jester is forced to be in attack mode, whereas this can come out in defense mode. And actually, I have been able to use his second effect before. I'll talk about that more later. But yeah, if a card has been normal summoned this turn, you can special summon it from your hand. So it's just great fodder, level 1 fodder to get your other monsters out. So love running it at 3, never blocks up the hand. Big 1 warrior. During your main phase, you can send 1 level 1 monster, except this card, from your hand to the graveyard, then special summon it, special summon from your hand. So basically, this is your hand. All right, I'm gonna send him to the graveyard, special summon. This is great because there's a lot of targets you actually want to go to the graveyard, so this card works super, super well. Obviously, Mystic Piper can be a target because then you can get it with Kinka-byo. Really, anything can be a target because then you can just pull it out with Kinka-byo. I have before, opened up with a hand kind of like this. I'm gonna special summon, him, so I'm gonna send Evil Thorn to the graveyard, summon him, bring this out, tribute to bring out my other 2, and right away, you've got 4 cards out. 3 if you want to keep Kinka-byo as a resource, so you have 3 right away to work with, to exceed into, or link, or whatever. Next up, Battle Fader. It's great because I love that Fader stays on the field. That way, you come back in your next turn, you've already got a monster out, and then you can start going off your play. So Fader at 3 is awesome. I absolutely love this card. You really can't do it without it. Continuing on the hand traps, we have Droll and Lockbird. I love Droll and Lockbird. This obviously could be swapped out for Effect Veiler, and you can also side in, if you don't want to run them, you can run DD Crow instead. People at your, locals or whatever are running stuff, more out of their graveyard, then you can definitely swap them out for DD Crow. I love Droll and Lockbird. The way I see it is, there's 2 kinds of effects that your opponents are going to do a lot of. They're either going to try to destroy your cards or search for their own cards, right? This deck, a lot of the boss monsters come with their own protection, so I don't really need to prevent effects normally, like at least destruction effects. The kinds of effects I really do need to prevent are my opponent searching, you know what I mean? They got a big play or whatever they're trying to set up. So I do find myself really wanting a lot of Droll and Lockbird versus Effect Veiler. Yes, you can definitely stop. I'm not saying Effect Veiler is not great. It is great, but I have just found that I'd rather stop you for the whole turn from searching rather than just stopping 1 monster effect that's normally, normally I'm worried about, you trying to pop something on my field. So I've already got that covered. All right, so now the main engine of the deck. So we got Turquoise, Sapphire, Berry or Beryl or whatever, and Cobalt. These cards are awesome. Let's break them down. First off, these guys, if you have a clear field, so if you just have nothing on your field, special summon from your hand. Then he can special summon any one of these guys from the graveyard or from your hand. So any one of these guys are a target, including the XYZs. Really fantastic card. Definitely run them at 3. Next up, we have Sapphire. Sapphire is amazing because if you control a Wing Beast monster, you can special summon this card from your hand and one level 1 Wing Beast type monster. So that's awesome. Lets me target any of the birds. So basically I have a Turquoise out, reveal Sapphire, and then special summon, and then there you go. So this is a fantastic card. I absolutely love it. You have to run her at 3. These cards are also super budget friendly. Again, the bulk of the deck is these, and I mean, I don't know, I think I picked them up for just a couple of bucks. Next up is Berry or Barrel or whatever. This card's awesome. What it lets you do is it lets you target, so if any of these or any of the XYZs are in your graveyard, you can special summon it and then pull it out of the graveyard. So run them at 3. And then this is the only one that I run at 2 is Cobalt. Reason for that is it does kind of get clunky and you can reuse it. Cobalt, basically, if it gets special summoned, then you can search one of the birds from your deck to your hand. Really awesome card. This pairs super well with Kinka-byo because it doesn't have to be special summoned by one of these. Just special summoned anyway. So basically, Kinka-byo comes out, special summons, you can search. It's really fantastic. So it's a great target for Big One Warrior. Get it in the graveyard. If you special summon it with this, so you don't have anything on their field, special summon, you can special summon this, search. If you special summon Cobalt with Sapphire, so you control a Winged Beast, special summon, search. And then again, Burial, great. If this is in your graveyard, this is just another graveyard target, special summon, search. So next up, we just got the tech cards. We got Chaos Necromancer. The attack of this card is the number of monster cards in your graveyard times 300. So the whole deck is monster cards. So you know what I mean? You just get these guys in your graveyard, you've already got like, what, 3,000 something attack. This thing becomes very scary very quickly. Even if you do open up the early, hopefully you can ditch it with Big One Warrior because again, summon Kinka-byo, bring him out. Chaos Necromancer is awesome. My next tech card is Symphonic Warrior Base. This is like the only tuner I run in the deck. You definitely could up this to 2. If you wanted to maybe take away a Mystic Piper, you could. Maybe if you wanted to take away one of these or you didn't really want to run the Droll and Lockbird, you can maybe take down Turquoise, I don't know, but you could definitely get another Warrior basis in here. For those that don't know, you can activate its effect and then its star level becomes, or star level increases by the number of cards in your hand. So you got 4 cards in your hand, you can increase him by 4, so now he's 5. So, 5 and 1, that's 6, so now you can bring out a 6, or you can bring out a 5, or you know what I mean, based on the number of cards in your hand. So really fantastic. Next tech is Meklord Emperor Wisel. I love this card. You guys know like how you almost have like relationship with like some of these cards in the sense that like it's never let you down. I know it sounds so weird, but like I always pull him when I need him. Like I have never bricked, he's never been stuck in my hand. Like somebody is always blowing up my field when I have him in my hand. So for those that don't know, if one of your cards are destroyed by card effect, anything, even if you destroy your own card by card effect, if any of your cards are destroyed by card effect, you can bring him out from your hand, special summon him to the field. That's the only way. You can't normal summon him or anything. So he can only be special summoned if something on your field is popped. And then from there, he's got 2 awesome effects. One is taking your opponent's synchros. We don't really live in a synchro world anymore, so it's not super relevant, but he can take their synchros, attach them to him, and that's great. But the really cool effect is he can negate 1 spell card per turn. So powerful. So they pop something, you bring this guy out, he's got 2,500 attack, which is just incredible. And then he can also negate a spell, 1 spell per turn, which is super great in the sense that you get to choose. You know what I mean? You can let certain spells go. You can stop at least a spell per turn. So super powerful. I absolutely love this card. He always comes out when I need him. He's kind of threatening on his own. He's got 2,500 attack, so not too bad. If you're dueling somebody, I guess, that does run a lot of synchros or that does destroy a lot of cards, pop off a lot of cards, bump him up to 2. But I like him at 1. All right, next up, Eater of Millions. Everybody knows what this card does. You can only special summon him by banishing 5 cards face down, either from your extra deck, hand, or field. But what's so great about him is he gets around things that would normally be very hard for this deck to get around. All right, next up, we've got Trump Witch. This is gonna take some more explaining. This basically is just a level 1 monster, and I use it for the spell effect. Once per turn, you can fusion summon 1 monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusions. The target for that, Independent Nightingale. A lot of people don't like Independent Nightingale. I've read so many posts and people like that shitting on this card. I love this card. This card, if I ever bring it out, I basically win the duel. Like, I have won, I guess that's not true, but I won many duels with this. I'll get into this card more later, but basically this lets you fuse, and it's a level 1, so I don't have to run a polymerization or anything. I can keep the level 1 consistency and just keep it all monster themed. Just kind of stick in that level 1 monster theme. Now, these are 36 cards right here. These are all the monsters. You could keep it pure and then, you know, build onto the monsters. Maybe you could add another Emperor Wisel. I could throw in 2 Treeborn Frogs. You can bump up Big One Warrior. You could, you know, add another Symphonic Warrior basis. You get a Necromancer, and then you would have your 40. However, I don't like, I used to love Treeborn Frog. I still do love it. I will run it every once in a while. I did take it out because it is a little bit slower. I mean, it is a fantastic card, but it is a little bit slower. So I don't really want to waste my normal summoner set on a Treeborn Frog. I know I can ditch it with Big One Warrior, but again, you ditch it with Big One Warrior, then you have to wait a turn to get something else out. I'd rather use my Big One Warrior targets on other things, like getting Cobalt, or get these guys out, that way I can target it with Kinka-byo, or use my Mystic Piper to get him out. I personally don't run Treeborn Frog. I do think it's a little bit slower. So anyway, how I fill up my other 4 spaces right now, I do break the mold. I shouldn't do this, but I have 2 spells right here. 2 Lightning Storm. I do this because this deck can get shut down very quickly by Skill Drain or Marcos Kamos, however you say it. Basically, any card that does shut down monster effects, this deck is fucked. And anything that banishes cards like Marcos Kamos shuts it down. If you are dueling people that do run a lot of you know, back row or stuff like that does hurt this, obviously I'd recommend, you know, running some more spell trap removal, trying to get that out of the way. But anyway, I do run 2 Lightning Storms. I do think it's just great. You know, clear that stuff out. That way you can try to get, you know, your actual cards off. I do run 1 for 1. It's just too good of a card not to run. A great target is Cobalt, because you get your search off. A great target is Evil Thorn. If you didn't open with it, it just lets you just get going right away. Another great target would be Mystic Piper, because you're gonna draw 2. I mean, obviously we have a couple of spells in here, but you're basically gonna draw 2. So that's really great. The last card in here is just a regular old rank up card. This is just one of the ones that, whatever is like probably the cheapest one at the time. It's a rank up card. I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so these are the 4 spells I do run. Unfortunately, it does suck. I do break the mold on the pure monster side of it. But like I said, if you want to fill up those other 4 spaces, instead of these 4 cards, you could add another Emperor Wisel, put a couple Treeborn Frogs, and then either get yourself another base. All right, moving over to the extra deck, we're opening up with number 39, Utopia Roots. The reason I run it is because if you do have, you know, rank up in your hand, go for Utopia Roots, because then you can bring out number 99. This card is fucking awesome. I absolutely love it. So basically, you know, you've got your 2 cards out. Let's just say you have this in your hand. So you got your 2 cards out. You're gonna overlay for Utopia Roots. Then you can special summon him right on top by discarding a rank up card. So just like that. This does come with protection. First off, it's a 4,000 attack beat stick, so it's fucking awesome. If you are up against a skill drain or something like that and you haven't run into one of your lightning storms, this is a great way around it. You can usually get 2 cards out even with skill drain on. We have Recital Starling. Let's pretend these are the same card. It's 2+ level 1 monsters, so you can do as many or as few monsters as you want. So, you know, you gotta feel the 5 or whatever, and it doesn't have to be the birds. I'm just using them as an example. You gotta feel the 5, you can overlay all 5, or you can just do just 2 of them. What's so great about it is the more that you do choose to use, then it affects its effects. So basically, let's say that you have him out, and then, you know, you overlay, let's say 3 cards to make him. Now you can boost another card on the field by 3, 6, 9. So it's 300 attack for every overlay, so you can boost it by 900. Obviously, that's super, super useful when working with Nightingale because they can attack X number of times directly. So being able to boost a card like that is super effective. The effect that I really like though is you can discard to search, and then again you can search any of these targets and then really start getting some combos going. So yeah, you have to run this card at 2. Let's pretend that's the second one. You have to run it at 2. All right, next up, oh, sorry. One other thing about this card is if you take damage, your opponent takes the damage too. So there's so many times that I will, I'll make him or her, I guess, and then make her. I'll attack directly. I'll get you down to however much life points, very, very little, and then I'll just suicide into something because we both take the damage with this effect. However, if you activate Nightingale's effect, then any battles that are with one of the birds, you don't take any damage. So what's great is you can actually activate Nightingale's effect, attack into something, and only they will take the damage. It's kind of like Lionheart's effect a little bit. So yeah, this card actually is super, super wildly useful. You can search with it, you can use it to boost the attack of other monsters, and you can use it to either suicide into your opponent's monsters and then kill both you and hurt both you and your opponent. Or if you do activate Nightingale's effect, then you can just dump the damage onto your opponent. So anyway, moving on. This is the main monster in the deck. You gotta run 2. Absolutely incredible. For every card underneath it, it can attack that many times directly, and it gets 200 attack for each thing. So let's just say again, we have 5 cards underneath, so that's 1,000 attack. What's really great is if you do use the birds obviously give it other effects. Like I mentioned before, if you use Cobalt, now it can't be targeted. If you use Berry, then you get an extra 200 attack. So in this particular situation, I would get the 1,000, but I would get an extra 600. So this thing has 1,600 attack like this, and it can attack 5 times. So obviously that's an incredible amount of damage. And then this bird does have built-in immunity. You can discard a card, you can discard, detach during either player's turn, and then this card cannot be damaged by card effects or destroyed by battle. So just absolutely incredible. I mean, you win most of your games with this card. So you attack so many times directly. Obviously, every single turn it's getting weaker because you're usually discarding one to keep it alive. So you might attack 4 times directly, then 3 times directly, then 2 times directly. So yeah, that's why getting Recital out is really important. You can boost it up and then really make this thing menacing very quick. But like I said, this is a fun deck. I don't want to always win with Assemble, so that's why I try to build it, and I try to build a lot of win conditions, and I try to put this down. You're going to see some other ones, but yeah, it's supposed to be a fun deck, but yeah, you can usually win with that card right there. Lastly, Independent Nightingale. I fucking love this card. This is a fusion summon between this card and any other the bird cards. So you can, any of these are a target, any of these are a target. This is amazing. Basically, however many cards are underneath, so let's just say, again, I keep using these same guys as an example. Let's say these 4 are underneath, and then you also had him out or her out and with 1 underneath. So then you're gonna fuse, right? So you're gonna activate Trump Witch, wherever my Trump Witch went. Or if you do wanna run a poly, you can run a poly. So let's just say we polyed, so we're gonna fuse these 2. He would gain Independent Nightingale, so she would gain 1 star for every, everything that was attached. So you get 5, so gains 5 stars, so now 6 stars. This thing can then deal damage once per turn, deal damage, number of stars it has times 500. So you have 6 stars, that's 3,000 damage. So you summon it, under the same conditions I just showed, the example I just showed, bam, right away, it comes out. In a first turn, you can get this out. You don't do it all the time, but it is possible. You can deal damage 3,000 right away. This card also has immunity in the sense that it cannot be destroyed by card effects. It's unaffected by card effects. So totally unaffected by card effects, monster effects, spells, traps, everything. And then it also gains 500 attack for the number of stars. So in this situation, again, yeah, it gains attack 500 times the number of stars. So you get 6 stars, it gains 3,000 attack. So now we're sitting at a 4,000 attack. It's really hard. So the only way to destroy it would be to attack over it, and if you got 4,000 or whatever, it's really a force to be reckoned with. Obviously, people still can get around it. It's not like totally invincible, but I absolutely love this card. And again, every single turn your opponent goes and you go again, you can inflict that same amount of damage every single time. So if you are doing 3,000, you go 3,000, you attack because you're not stopped by attacks. You deal the 3,000, attack. Deal the 3,000, game over. You know what I mean? So you win very, very quickly. So far we've set up 3 sort of win conditions here. Any of these cards can help you in this, I guess, late game. Can help you win the duel. So got a couple different things cooking here. If you are interested in running this card, there is a way to search out Trump Witch, and there's obviously lots of ways to search out Poly, but you could run like a Where Art Thou. If you have a level 1 monster, any level 1 monster, let's say he's out on the field, activate this, you can immediately search Trump Witch. You'll take the 2,000 damage because you aren't going to summon it, but it's at least a way to get him out. So yeah. That is a way to search Trump. Anyway, a couple other XYZs. Utopic Future. This is awesome. It's a great way to get around really big, hard to get around monsters. This thing is like a force to be reckoned with. Basically, 2 XYZ monsters with the same rank except number monsters. So you can't use these 2 Utopic, but you can use any one of these guys. So basically, if I have 2 recitals out or whatever, then you can overlay them for F0. If your assembled knight is getting low, like remember how I said, you maybe you only had 2 to begin with, and then every turn you're detaching 1 in order to keep it alive. So now you're down to 1. I mean, it's just a dead card. So what's great is just being able to overlay them into him. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and neither player takes any battle damage from this card, so basically just a giant wall. At the end of the damage step, if this card did battle opponent's monster, you can take control of that monster until the end of the damage step, or until the end of the battle phase. So let's just say that, he's up against this guy. So swing, no damage, but then I can take control of my opponent's monster and then swing. So that's a great way to then get rid of one of their guys, or take control and then maybe clear their board and then swing directly. But absolutely incredible card. If it would be destroyed, you can just detach. So obviously, if we have 2 underneath, if it would be destroyed, you can just detach instead, keep it alive. So absolutely fantastic card. Again, so far here are our boss monsters. All of them have like really decent built-in protection, minus Necromancer, obviously. This is just a 1 swing. But yeah, all of them have awesome built-in protection. So yeah, that's why I love this deck. It's just super fun. Next, Lionheart. Because this is a card that I used to run really heavy with the birds. I mean, you're almost always going to make one of the birds before you make him. The only time I do make him is if my opponent has a big boss monster out and I know I can just swing for game, basically. This card can't be destroyed by battle. Again, it's got protection, battle protection anyway, not card effect protection. But any battle damage that I would take, my opponent takes, and if I discard, so I got these 3, I'm gonna overlay. It does take 3 to make him. He's the only one that takes 3 to make. Everything else is 2. 2 plus, which is great because if you have 5 monsters out, you can use all 5. If you have 2, you can use 2. But anyway, he's the only one that does take just 3, so he's very unique in that way for this deck. But you can discard, and then only your opponent will take the damage. He does have very little attack, which is great for his effect. So basically, you're up against this. I can swing at you, and we can both take 3,900, or I can swing at you, discard, and then only you'll take the 39. So really, really, really powerful effect. Very, very similar kind of setup as I was describing before to Recital, where you can attack, and then you'll both take the damage, and then obviously if you do use Nightingale, only your opponent will take the damage. But anyway, Lionheart is really, really great. All right, before I go into the rest of the extra deck, because that's all the XYZs I have, I do want to just address the elephant in the room, 13 and 31 Crime and Punishment. I used to actually have them. I don't even know what happened to them. I didn't sell them or anything. But anyway, Crime and Punishment, it's number 13, number 31. Basically, it's 2 halves. You have to bring out both those monsters and then they can really wreak havoc. If the other one's out, then it can't be targeted, it can't be this or that. I do really, really like these cards. The only problem with them is it's not like a fun deck anymore. For number one, okay, the real issue with them is it either works or it doesn't. And I know that sounds so stupid, but what I mean by that is either you bring them out and then it works and you basically won the game because your opponent is like locked out, or it fails before it even starts and then you lose the game. Let's just pretend that these two are Crime and Punishment. Sorry, I don't have the real examples. So I'm gonna go ahead and make him, because you have to make him first, and then they can just destroy it, and then that's it, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, because you need the 2 of them to be out at the same time. You can't XYZ them both at the same time. You have to bring one out, and now it's just a sitting target, and then bring out the other one. But anyway, if you do bring them out, your opponent, if it does work, if you are able to, force your opponent to attack you, and they take the damage and everything like that, you basically win the game. And if it doesn't work, like if you do bring out, you've used too many resources. Like it takes, 4 cards to make it, and then if you lose it, it's really hard to recover from it, because also it's eating up, a couple of spaces in your extra deck. So I stopped running it. It just wasn't fun. It's not fun for my opponent when I do bring them out. I know that you're probably thinking like, well, how the fuck is Nightingale fun? It is fun. All right, moving on, we're gonna talk about synchros. So as you guys know, we have our 1 tuner in the deck, and this can change its level, so that lets us attack and reach all of these different numbers. None of this is like set in stone. If you guys want to run different things, definitely go for it. But anyway, I like having a 5, 6, 7, because again, you don't know what you're gonna get. If you're gonna summon him out, you might only have 4 cards, 5 cards, however many you have. It's just good to have some different numbers here. Now you can run Vortex the Whirlwind, or you can run just another generic 5, like Ally, Justice, Cataster, but let's just go with Vortex the Whirlwind for right now. This has to be a tuner, and then 1 or more non-tuner Winged Beast type monsters. You obviously have a ton of Winged Beast targets. Most of the deck is the Winged Beast. And what's great about him is when he's destroyed, then you can bring a Winged Beast out. So that'd be a really good way to bring out Cobalt and get another search off or something like that. But if you are somebody that doesn't really want to run the Vortex or Whirlwind, definitely go with Cataster. It's a great 5 target. Moving on, we have 6. Everybody knows what Bryo does. I actually, oddly enough, usually hit the 6 for some reason. Like I might have 2 cards. I can get him up to 4 stars or something like that, and then I'll have like 2 cards out or something like that. Because again, you use Kinka-byo, you can bring, so you summon Kinka-byo, you can bring something else out. There's 2, and there's your 4. And then Black Rose is another great target. Everybody knows what it does. If you guys want to run other things, there's obviously a ton of synchros that you can run, but the only note I would give is just give yourself a 4, 5, 6, 7 option for stars. That way you have lots of different targets for your Symphonic Warrior bases. And if you do want to bump your Warrior bases up to 2, I could definitely see that working. Then I would give yourself even more synchro targets. Maybe take away Lionheart or something. Yeah, maybe take off Lionheart or something like that, and then or take out Nightingale. Take out Formula Synchron, and then add a few more targets in here that you might want. Lastly, I have 1 Link monster in here. It's just a bullshit Link monster. I'm not a Link monster guy. I don't really like Link monsters. I only have it in here just to have it, I guess, represent Link monsters in general. I like the 3000 attack aspect because, again, if they're running Skill Drain or something like that, you can still come out 3000 attack, ready to go. Whatever Link monster you guys have, run that. Don't necessarily run this. That is the deck. A couple other notes I want to talk about. As I mentioned before, instead of the birds, you can run a Ghost Trick engine. So that's really fun. Definitely do the research on that. If you also want it to be a really fun deck, you can also go this route. You can add a Relinquished in here. Obviously, you're not going to summon it, so don't add the Ritual or anything. But Relinquished is just great if you want to also run Millennium Eyes Restrict. This is a very fun card. Obviously, this is not competitive by any means. It's just fun. Then you need like a Poly. Some other cards, like I mentioned before, you can go Treeborn. You can add another Meklord. You can go, if you want some more protection, like the Vaders, you can double down it with Scarecrow. I don't run Swiss Scarecrow because I like the Vader being on the field at the end of the turn. If your opponent's running a lot of stuff out of the graveyard and effects out of the graveyard, go DD Crow. I personally love Lava Golem. This deck really is just an excuse to run a lot of my favorite cards. Lava Golem's awesome. It's not a level 1 or anything like that, but it's just a great card for I just need to get rid of something on your side of the field. So I love it. Creature swap is really fun. You're summoning Kinka-byo a lot. And so obviously, if you ever have a spirit monster or anything like that, it's fun to run creature swap. Creature swap's really fun. One of my favorite cards in the whole game. Or monster removal. Obviously you have the lightning storms, but these do have contingencies. You have to have a clear board and stuff like that. So yeah, Dark Hole. Dark Hole is actually also kind of great. I do like it because if I do have my Meklord in my hand, and I do pop one of my own cards, then I can bring him out. But anyway, and if you need more spell trap removal, add it. Again, Lightning Storm does do a lot of work, but anyway. And then Where Art Thou? Really, really, really great card. Terrible luck with this card. I never get it at the right time. I never get it in any sort of situation where like, oh, I need, whatever. I don't know. This card, read the text. I'll just tell you the text. If you control a level 1 on the field, then you can search your deck for anything, okay? So let's just say I have Mystic Piper out on the field. Now I have that, I can say, and now I can search for any level 1, which is the entire deck. It's 36 cards of all level 1 monsters. Then you have to normal summon it that turn, otherwise you eat the 2,000. Now it's a great way to grab a Fader. It's a great way to grab, anything. Maybe you want to grab the Evil Thorn. Maybe you haven't even normal summoned. Maybe you just special summoned Turquoise, so you special summon him, you're gonna activate this, so you can grab your Piper and then go. It all makes so much sense on paper. I have never been able to draw this card when I want this card, so I don't run it all the time. Sometimes I'll swap it in. Maybe I don't need my Joan Lockbird or something like that. Or I just want to have fun. Maybe I do just take out my 2 Jesters or something like that. I'm just like, you know what? Let me just try some stuff out. So I'll take these 2 guys out. Maybe I'll throw in that. Maybe I'll throw in Lava Golem. We're gonna have a little party. We're gonna go crazy. So yeah, just want to mention those cards. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is my level 1 deck. This is my favorite deck that I have. Like I said, it is mostly just for fun. It actually does hold up sometimes well against competitive decks, not like tier 0, tier 1 competitive decks, but it actually does do pretty decent against some decks, but it is more for fun. It's also very budget friendly. Really all the cards here are dirt cheap. I'm not actually sure what Mystic Piper's at, but if there was an expensive card, it would probably be Piper. And you could run 2 Pipers if you wanted to. Everything else, you're kind of in charge of the budget yourself. Like you can run these synchros, or you can run more expensive ones or cheaper ones. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of run whatever you want to run. But yeah, super fun deck. Thank you guys so much for watching. And yeah, let me know if you guys want me to do more stuff like this in the future. I've got tons of decks like this. Like I said, I love these kinds of decks. I love level 1 stuff. I love when all the cards in my deck, 0 attack, 400, 400. I love like winning duels when like my entire deck is made out of like 0 attacking monsters. Like Chad's Princeton and GX, you know what I mean? He had that one deck when it was like the Ojamas and everything was under 1,500. I think he actually won with Chaos Necromancer, won one of his duels. Anyway, I really am inspired by weaker monsters and stuff like that. So if you guys want to see more decks like this, I've got a really cool Skull Servant deck. I've got a really cool Ojama deck. Let me know if you guys just see more stuff. So yeah, thanks so much.